Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. I am joined with Fabrizio Romano for another show. Fabrizio, thank you for being here.
Thank you as always. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, hopefully you can cheer us up after the weekend because that wasn't good for many United fans. I want to get started talking a little bit about Raphael Varane. He's barely played recently under Erik ten Hag, not even really getting minutes off the bench. Obviously, on paper, a lot of Man United fans think he's Man United's best centre-back, most experienced centre-back, and he can't get into the team. Is there anything untoward going on behind the scenes, and do you think he will leave in January?
Yeah, it's not an easy moment for sure for Raphael Varane in terms of form. Also, Erik ten Hag is convinced that other players are in better condition, so it's a technical choice. That's the point. Of course, Varane is not happy. Varane is a super professional player. He loves to be involved, and so it's not normal also for a player like Raphael Varane, who spent the last probably 15 years of his career always playing and always being a crucial player, to be on the bench and not being involved. So I think a January exit is a possibility. It's not guaranteed yet, but it's a possibility. If it's not going to be January, it's going to be in the summer. But in any case, I expect Raphael Varane to leave Manchester United in 2024. So let's see if it's going to be January window or summer window. About January, we have to see what happens with the Saudis, because there was an interest in June, in July. In that case, Raphael Varane expressed his desire to stay in Europe and to compete for Manchester United in that case, so he don't want to leave the club. Now could be different based on the proposals, but at the moment, from what I'm hearing, there is still no concrete negotiation with the Saudi club in particular, so it's still early stages. I think it will depend on the opportunities. It will depend on the proposals. Varane will consider the opportunities, but at the same time, he still hopes to have an opportunity at Man United in the upcoming weeks, because Varane is ready. Varane just wants to play.
Is it the fact that Erik ten Hag thinks it's time for him to leave, or does Varane want to leave himself? Like, what is the situation in their relationship right now?
No, but I don't think Varane is desperate to leave, because if he wanted to leave, he had the chance to do that in the summer, and it didn't happen because he wanted to stay and compete at Man United. I think it's just about Erik ten Hag wanting to trust different players in this moment. So it's just about that, and obviously Varane is not happy. So it's a technical decision of the manager, and that's why I think with a good proposal, there is a chance for him to leave in January. And it could also help Man United to bring in a new centre-back, which is going to be the priority in the January transfer window. Man United will sign a new centre-back, an important one in 2024. So could be summer, but I think in any case, in January, they will look for a solution in that position.
Thank you for the update on Varane. It's a shame to see how it's played out with him, but hopefully things will end on a good note. A player that I was looking at this morning, Guirassy from Stuttgart, £15 million release clause. He's been linked to Manchester United. Is there any truth in Manchester United wanting to maybe explore a deal for him in January?
He's been discussed with Manchester United, so it's a big opportunity on the market, one of the biggest opportunity on the market, because he scored a lot of goals with Stuttgart, and he's available with a release clause. It's not so usual to see release clause is valid in January around Europe, but in this case with Guirassy, the clause is valid in the January window, and is 17.5 million euros. So that's why many clubs, not just in England, but also in Germany, in Italy, are considering a move for Guirassy, because it's a big opportunity. He's been discussed with Man United, so there were meetings to discuss that opportunity, to explain Man United how the release clause works. Man United are thinking about the possibility to bring in a new striker in the January transfer window. It's not guaranteed yet, but it's one of the things they are discussing internally. And Guirassy is one of the names they have on the table. So it's a possibility, but let me clarify, it's not only Man United. There are really multiple clubs interested in this boy, and also Stuttgart pushing him to stay till the end of the season and then leaving in the summer. But from what I'm hearing, the possibility for a January exit is really concrete, and Man United are among, let's say, 5-6 clubs interested in Guirassy.
Interesting stuff. And what about Timo Werner as well? Because he was linked to Manchester United recently. Was that just rumours, or is there concrete interest there?
Yeah, it's quite similar. I think now is the stage. Man United don't have the famous new director who is going to decide together, obviously, with Erik ten Hag, who is the player they want to sign, in which positions they want to do something in the January window. So that's why now it's time to have meetings to discuss opportunities and to understand conditions of deals. So Guirassy is an opportunity with a release clause. Timo Werner is not happy at Leipzig, and that's why Timo Werner could be an opportunity also for the January transfer window. He would be very happy, from what I'm hearing, to try a new experience in England after Chelsea and then returning to Leipzig. So Werner could be another opportunity, but now is not time to decide yet for Man United, because they want to wait for the new structure with Sir Jim Ratcliffe, with a new director, with a new CEO, and then to decide, obviously, together with the manager, with Erik ten Hag, okay, this is the player we want. But both Werner and Guirassy are opportunities on the market, and Man United are obviously informed on both of them.
And then Todibo is another name that Manchester United have been massively linked to for a while. Is he a possibility in January? And also Antonio Silva and other names have been linked. Maybe Man United could end up signing 2 centre-backs, one in January, one in the summer.
Yeah, I think there could be a possibility to sign one in January, one in the summer. I'm not sure that it's going to be both Antonio Silva and Todibo because this could be very expensive, but both players are in the list. We say that multiple times here. Todibo, Antonio Silva, also Tapsoba. There are many centre-backs that Manchester United are monitoring around Europe because they want to refresh a bit the centre-backs position in the new year. So Antonio Silva in January, I think is going to be very difficult because he has a release clause 100 million euros and Benfica don't like to sell players in January. It's already a complicated season for them. They're not going to be in the Champions League in the second half of the season. So I think that is going to be really complicated to go there and negotiate for Antonio Silva. But he remains a player in the list at Manchester United. For Todibo could be different, obviously, because of Nice, Ineos Group, so could be different kind of situation. Also, the player was already in the list last summer. Before this Sir Jim Ratcliffe story, he was already in the radar of the scouting department. After Benjamin Pavard, he was probably the top target, from what I've heard, to sign a new centre-back when they were close to letting Harry Maguire leave to West Ham. Then the Maguire deal collapsed and so Todibo didn't join. But he's always been highly rated by people in the scouting. He's considered a very talented centre-back with a lot of potential too. And so I would not be surprised if Man United will try to go for Todibo in 2024 because he's really approved by the scouting department. Also, Erik Ten Hag appreciates the player and he would love an opportunity in England. So I think Todibo could be a possibility.
He's definitely a player that I've looked at and I do really like, so we'll have to wait and see what happens on that. Are there any other players that are obvious for Man United fans to keep an eye on in January, or any other positions that Manchester United are exploring?
Maybe midfield. I think something there could still happen. It depends on, obviously, what happens with the outgoings also, because we know about Donny van de Beek and many other players. So Man United for sure need to clean a bit the situation. It's the same in the attacking positions, for example, with Anthony Martial, who is out of contract in the summer, and Man United have to decide what they want to do with the option they have included into his contract. So there are some internal decisions to make. And I think in this case, the new director is going to be crucial. They need a new vision. They need new ideas. They need someone who's going to decide together with the manager and with the different timing compared to the old board. So they need something fresh, they need something new, and this is going to be important. But I think the midfield could be another position. I'm not saying that Man United will sign 3 players because we never know. The January transfer window is always complicated. It's not easy to find opportunities, but they're also keeping an eye on midfielders. For example, I don't think he's going to be available in January, but João Neves from Benfica is a player that Man United are regularly scouting. He's a player they really appreciate. Again, release clause 120 million, so I don't think he's one for the January window, probably for the summer, but they're looking at players in that position, and so let's see if Man United will decide to try something in the January window also in the midfield.
Yes, exactly. And a bit of an obvious question, but do you know when Sir Jim is likely to be announced? We speak about the sporting director and the likelihood of Blank and Mitchell potentially being the CEO and director of football.
Look, the announcement could be next week. That's the feeling of all sources involved in the process. But honestly, we had many different kind of reports in the recent weeks saying, okay, next week. So it's always the same, but I think it's also normal. This is not a normal club or a small club. This is Man United. And so obviously it takes time to complete everything and to proceed with the formal steps of the story. So it's absolutely normal process, but this is going to happen very soon and for sure before Christmas. And then it's going to be time to bring in new people because the new CEO, I think, is 90% going to be Jean-Claude Blanc. It's just about the formal steps also in this case, but Blanc is the man that Sir Jim Ratcliffe wants to be the CEO of Manchester United. As we always mention, a lot of experience. He also knows very well how long it takes to complete this kind of takeover, even if it's for 25% minority stake. So it's not a quick process, but Blanc is ready. And then the new director, Mitchell, is a possibility, but it's not done yet. There are also other candidates. Sir Jim Ratcliffe is working on it with his people at Ineos behind the scenes. So he wants to keep going with the process behind the scenes, not too many rumors in the media. Mitchell is a candidate for sure since a long time, but he's not the only one. So there is still a discussion ongoing on who's going to be the man in charge of the summer transfer window and the January transfer window, of course, for Man United.
Thank you for that. I'm sure that'll excite a lot of Manchester United fans because we know that there's change needed behind the scenes. I also want to ask you about Ten Hag. Obviously, under maybe a little bit of pressure from the fans at the moment, not sure how it is inside the club, lost a couple of games that realistically Manchester United should be competing in, especially the Newcastle game at the weekend. Got a tough fixture list coming up in December. How safe internally is Erik Ten Hag's job at the moment? What is the feeling with him behind the scenes?
Look, at the moment, I don't have an indication of Man United considering Erik ten Hag at risk or in danger. So at the moment, the situation is under control. Obviously, it's not being an easy beginning of the season, not what they expected. They invested important money in the summer, so the expectations were different. But at the same time, a lot of injuries, some bad luck in some moments. So they know that it was not just on the manager. Also, some cases like the Jadon Sancho one, they know that it's not only the manager. But at the moment, I'm not hearing anything of Man United speaking to other managers or speaking to representatives of other managers. So at the moment, the situation is really quiet. They're still backing and supporting the manager. Obviously, as always in football, they want to see results, and I'm sure this is going to be the request in the next games. It's a crucial moment for Man United, especially in the Champions League, to go out of the Champions League in that group. This is not at Man United level, so the disappointment will be obvious. But let's see what happens in the final game. But from what I'm hearing at the moment, Man United are not thinking of replacing Erik ten Hag, and the situation remains under control. So there is no pressure, but just the ambition to do something different and something at different level in the next weeks and games.
Yes, hopefully that we will see that, because at the moment it's not looking great for Manchester United fans. I also want to ask you about, what is the likelihood that Sancho will go? Obviously, we know that Donny van der Beek, I think you brought it out yourself, that he will definitely be leaving Manchester United in January. And there was rumours that Amrabat might be sent back to Fiorentina. Is there any truth in that?
No, I don't see Amrabat returning to Fiorentina. Honestly, from what I'm hearing, no. At the moment, the situation is still quiet, and so nothing is happening on the Amrabat side. For Donny van de Beek, I'm 100% sure that he's going to leave. Then we have to see if they find a solution on permanent transfer, or it's going to be a loan. Probably it's going to be a loan, because many clubs want to see the physical condition of Donny before investing important money on him. But Donny was already 90% a new Real Sociedad player in the summer transfer window. Then the deal collapsed because Man United wanted an important loan fee and the salary covered, but Donny was already prepared to leave in the summer. So Donny is leaving in January, and it's just about finding the best project, the best club to play and to be a regular starter. This is really important for Donny van de Beek. And then for Jadon Sancho, nothing has changed. So still the same expectation for Jadon to leave in the January transfer window. Let's see what's going to happen with the new director, with the new CEO. Of course, Man United will change, but the problem he has is with the coaching staff. So it's not with the board. The problem is with the coaching staff, and it's still not resolved. And so the expectation is still for Jadon Sancho to go, to have different kind of opportunity in January. Clubs like Juventus, for example, Juventus are really interested, but they're still waiting for Man United to decide. Man United don't have a director now, or they will have a new director very soon, let's say like this. And so you were waiting. You were showing their interest. They like Jadon Sancho. They spoke to people close to Jadon Sancho, but you were waiting because Juve can't go there and pay 40, 50 or 60 millions for Sancho. This is not going to happen. It's loan deal or nothing. And so now it's on Man United to say, okay, we are open to making it happen on loan, or the player only leaves on a permanent transfer. So let's see what the new board will decide.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting one. And lastly, just before I let you go, I know this is probably so unlikely, but I always like to add in a question for myself or something that I want to happen. Ivan Toney, any sort of inkling that Manchester United might be in for him in January? I know there's a lot of clubs looking at him and he's probably wanting to leave. I mean, I think he's a top striker that Man United should be looking at, but is there any links there?
Yeah, I think this is something complicated in the January window, because really Brentford are going to push for important but really big money or nothing in the January transfer window for Toney. And also Chelsea, Arsenal, many clubs are informed of that. It's not going to be easy. So I think it's more likely to see Man United going for that kind of player in the summer transfer window in terms of budget and in terms of investment. I see Man United probably going with an investment in different positions in January and more an opportunity in the January window for a striker, rather than spending, I don't know, 60, 70, 80 million pounds on a center striker. For sure, he's a player they're going to consider because he has new agents since August. He's ready for a top club move in 2024. So Toney is looking at the market and is looking at opportunities. But at the moment, it's not something close or imminent or advancing for Man United.
Well, thank you, Fabrizio, for joining us. Some great updates as usual, and have a lovely rest of your week, and we'll see you on here soon.
Thank you. Thank you as always.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao, ciao. Bye, bye, bye.
Okay, that was Fabrizio Romano with all the latest transfer stuff. Honestly, as that interview was going through, I could just feel like my nose just dripping more and more and more. This cold is actually so frustrating, but I'm sure loads of people have got this at the moment with the snow's out. The snow's out in Manchester, but some really good updates from Fabrizio there. Just to kind of round up, I always like to ask a little question at the end where I'm like, Probably not, but maybe we could get something out of it. The Ivan Toney stuff, Ivan Toney is just a dream for me, to be honest. I think he'd be perfect. I've said it so many times on the United stand. I think he will move in summer. Sorry, not in summer. I think he will move in January, because I think a serious club like Arsenal or even maybe Chelsea will go in for that deal and will do it. And they'd be silly not to, especially the likes of Arsenal, who are on a title charge. Like, Arsenal could win the title this season. I think buying Ivan Toney in January would make a big step towards closing that gap and seriously going for the title this year. So I think Toney won't even be there for us to go for in summer, because I think if United don't move in summer, another club will. And why would Toney come to Man United when Arsenal would be open to getting him or Chelsea would be open to getting him? But he's definitely a player that I would want. First of all, I know a lot of people are talking in the chat about getting some mods in. I don't control what mods come in. I wish I did, but sadly there's no moderators in the chat today. So if there's any bad comments in there, just ignore them, and we encourage the positive people in our community, which we know that there's so many of you, to make your comments heard. And make sure you like the video as well for Fabrizio making time in his day to come and update us all with the latest stuff. I thought we got some really good stuff there. Donny van de Beek would definitely be going, we already knew that. But what I found the most interesting that Fabrizio Romano did update us on, that we got some clarity on, was the situation with Raphael Varane. Raphael Varane is a player that in the summer you would think he's such an important player for Manchester United. There was rumours about the Saudi club wanting to go in for him. It didn't end up happening. There was stories coming out that Varane wanted to retire potentially at Manchester United. He wanted to stay, he wanted to fight for Manchester United. Then during the season, Varane had some injuries, he had a bit of bad form, and he's been completely out of the team since. And of course, I get the internal competition thing, and I completely get that. Maguire has been playing better, and Maguire's form, he can't really be dropped, so I get that. But he's not even really been coming off the bench. He's not really had a sniff. And it's like, also there's rotation. We're playing like 3 games a week. Surely Varane can get one of them games. Maguire's playing every single game. Surely Varane can get one game. It just all seems a little bit fishy to me. And I wouldn't have thought this, but Ten Hag and Varane are both open for Varane to be going in January. And Romano said he won't be surprised if he did go in January. So, and if he doesn't go in January, he'll probably definitely go in the summer. So I think Varane will leave Manchester United in 2024, which is sad really, because I didn't think we'd be saying this. I thought maybe in the summer, yeah, but it pretty much seems from what Romano said, he's basically nailed on to leave next year, whether that be in January or whether that be in the summer. If he leaves in January, we'll definitely go and get Todibo. If he doesn't, we might still get Todibo. We're not sure. Romano said it's very likely that we go and get 2 centre-backs next year. Obviously, I mentioned on the morning show, Antonio Silva we keep getting linked to, but the 100 mil release clause, United won't pay it and Benfica won't budge on it. So I'm a bit iffy on that one, although I think it'd be brilliant. Todibo I definitely think we'll go for. He wants a new challenge in England. Be careful coming to Man United, honestly. And Erik ten Hag clearly wants another centre-back, and clearly he's not a big fan of Varane anymore. Varane looks like he's going to go. What do you guys think about that? Son Heung-min says, I'm coming to United, just make sure I get the number 7. I wish you were. I could do with a winger like you. I could really do with a winger like you right now at Manchester United, or someone that can play across the front 3 without moaning about playing in different positions, honestly. Also had a little bit on Guirassy. Guirassy, I said this morning, I think would be a good move. I think that Manchester United will probably move for him, whether he ends up going to another club. But if Man United are looking for a striker for a cheap price, Guirassy's there for 15 mil. 27, scored a lot of goals this season, broke the Bundesliga record. It's a bit of a punt, it's a bit of a risk. It's probably not something that's going to be massively long term, but it's 15 million and you get somebody in there. I wouldn't be surprised to see if Martial left in January. Romano said that Manchester United are going to have to make a decision on that, whether to trigger his year extension. At the moment, I'm not sure whether that would get triggered from the performance he's putting in. Guirassy could be someone we go for. Also, Timo Werner massively wants to move, which scares the life out of me. I do not want Timo Werner to come to Manchester United. I really, really don't. I'm going to be honest with you. But that is where we're at on that one. What do you guys think? Would you rather have Timo Werner or Guirassy? Maybe we could get a quick poll in just before I round up the video. Timo Werner or Guirassy? Who would you rather have? Also, I'm just going to put it out there. The fact that Maguire and Lindelof will still be at the club and Varane will be gone doesn't quite sit right with me. Yes, Varane hasn't been on form. Yes, Varane maybe isn't his best self. And I think Lindelof and Maguire are rotational centre-backs. They're not first choices. Maguire's doing well now, but eventually they're just not first choices at Manchester United at a top club. There's someone that can fill in the squad players. The fact that Varane will be gone before them just really doesn't sit right with me. And we will have to buy 2 2 centre-backs in. We will have to buy Todibo and Antonio Silva, or Todibo and another top defender, because your selection of Maguire, Lindelof, Martinez and Evans then is just not good enough for Manchester United, nowhere near. Martinez is the only one where I think, yeah, that's someone who can take us long term. Maguire, Lindelof and Evans are all players that I don't. And to only have one top class centre-back in your armour at Manchester United is seriously worrying. Who would be a better signing, Ciro Guirassy or Timo Werner? This is where we're at, by the way. That's the sort of polls I'm doing. They're the players we're talking about. I asked Romano the question, and he said more likely to be Werner or Guirassy in January, and then potentially maybe look at an Ivan Toney in the summer. But let's be honest, Ivan Toney's already going to be gone by summer, so we don't do anything in January, do we? We really don't. I mean, nobody wants either of them, but I'm going to vote for Guirassy just because I know what Werner is, and it's not something that's good for Man United. He can't hit a barn door. He's got good pace, he's got good work ethic, but he can't hit a barn door. And I've seen him play in the Premier League at Chelsea. Just not good enough for us. Really isn't good enough for us. Other things we talked about, obviously, the good news was Jean-Claude Blanc could be announced as CEO and Mitchell being Director of Football. Romano, I think, talked about them being 90% done. Romano wouldn't say that as if unless it was actually the case. I think that will happen. The fact that Romano's talking about it quite openly, quite confidently, for me, feels like it is going to happen. So that's exciting stuff because, like I said on the morning show, behind the scenes needs absolutely ripping apart in Manchester United and being rebuilt again. And then just a little bit of stuff, Sancho probably will go, but he'll probably be on loan to Juventus, so we'll be paying his wage again, which is frustrating. And another interesting one, midfielder Manchester United are looking at. Obviously, Donny van de Beek is going to be going. Maybe we'll see a few other outgoings as well, potentially even in the summer. But Romano said that Man United are closely monitoring João Neves. When we know Bruno Fernandes loves João Neves, he's played with him at the Portuguese team, posted him on his Instagram. He got asked about him in an interview and he said he'd love him to play for Manchester United. 19 years old, absolutely brilliant up-and-coming Portuguese midfielder. He has a release clause of 100 million, which is a lot of people would say. But imagine the future midfield of João Neves and Kobe Mainoo. That would be unbelievable for the future. So that's something that we could maybe look at in the summer. But it's great that Manchester United are targeting that sort of name because he is, I think, going to be a top midfielder and he does look like he's got so much potential. So that's another good one that Romano brought up. But look, everyone, thank you for staying for the show. A lot of people in the chat are saying David De Gea to Newcastle. That has been spoken about. Could you imagine if that happened? That'd be wild. I don't know if it will, but it depends on how serious Pope's injury is. It could be a good move for Newcastle as like a short stopgap. But look, everyone, thank you for watching the interview with Romano. It was brilliant as per usual, and thank you for everyone for getting involved in the community. Make sure you hit a like on the video if you enjoyed it, and we will see you on the next one. Mark will be on the 8 PM show later, everyone. We'll see you then.